Thank you, Dave, and hello, everyone. I'm Lindsey King.
And I'm Laurie Gauger. We're here to talk to you today about reciprocal peer reviews, and specifically reciprocal peer reviews. A reciprocal peer review is just what it sounds like. It is when instructors go into a classroom, make observations, and then provide feedback to one another. I want to start by asking faculty to raise their hand if you've ever completed a peer review of another instructor's class. I can't see you, but I see some hands. All right, now raise your hand if you've been asked to peer review another course. Or if someone's peer reviewed your course, I should say. Good. And how about students? Have you been asked to review another classmate's work? That's good. And then for the others in the audience, have you engaged in peer review as part of your job? Anyone? Yeah. So it looks like most of us have been involved in peer review in one way or another. So what did you think about the process? Was it helpful? Hopefully. Was it an enjoyable experience? Maybe. And what about giving and receiving feedback? I think that's the trickiest part. So Lindsey and I are here today to talk to kind of broaden your ideas about reciprocal teaching peer reviews and get you to think about how they can support your teaching and also build community within our college.
Yeah, so why are we up here today talking about these reciprocal peer reviews and their benefits? Well, a few years ago, I was working on going up for promotion, and I had already been reviewed by several faculty in my department, so I reached out to Truly Hardiman, our lead instructional designer, and she's awesome. And she gave us the idea to do reciprocal peer reviews with instructors outside of our department and discipline. So she gave me the names of several faculty in our college who she thought would be interested. And she noted that this would be a great way to bring instructors together who love teaching and give them an opportunity to support each other and share ideas. So I reached out to Laurie and also Drs. Anna Galloway and Becky Piazza. I don't know if they're here today, but they're also too. And they're from occupational therapy. And at the time, I knew all of these faculty by name only, but had never interacted with any of them much at all. And all three were on board for completing these reciprocal peer reviews, and from them, I gained so much. I had not only gotten to know these other like-minded faculty, I learned about how they engage their students and what their teaching and research interests are, which opened up avenues of collaboration possibilities. So this is the reason why we were asked to talk to you today, to share with you some of the benefits that we've experienced from this process. So what we found from completing these reciprocal peer reviews was that the process wasn't just about reviewing a course and having your course reviewed. The benefits are so much more. Faculty often talk about how siloed it feels to work in academia. I never realized that participating in this collaborative process would lead me to 3 new colleagues who I was able to connect with and continue to stay in touch with. So Laurie is from Communication Sciences and Disorders, or CSD. I'm from Public Health. But through this process, we found common ground in our fields and interests in addition to building a friendship.
All right, so what are the benefits of reciprocal teaching peer reviews? I want to begin by talking about the act of teaching, but for the most part is something that we do on our own. We plan our classes on our own, we teach our classes on our own. But does it have to be this way? Reciprocal teaching peer reviews can be a great way to make teaching feel like more of a community event and not so isolating. Peer reviews from within and outside of our departments can benefit our teaching in different ways. So first, let me point out some of the benefits of peer reviews from our home department. The most obvious benefit is that we can get perspectives and ideas from faculty who are directly familiar with our discipline. For me, even though communication sciences and disorders encompasses a variety of communication processes like spoken language, swallowing, and hearing, we all have something still in common, right? We're all related. So doing a peer review reminds us of that. Doing a reciprocal peer review can also help you take advantage of the great teaching that is going on in your home department. So for example, for me, I started talking to some of the speech language pathologists that are in my department about ways that we can add clinical perspectives to our undergraduate classes. And through talking with my colleagues, I learned more about using simulated cases, how we can use these cases in our undergraduate classes to inform our teaching and to give our undergraduate students a clearer picture of what our clinical work looks like. And learning about it more through reciprocal peer review kind of gave me the opportunity to see it in action, which made my implementation a lot easier. Engaging in reciprocal peer reviews can also help you in finding a mentor. So those colleagues that you get to learn about, know about on a deeper level can serve as mentors, or they can connect you with someone who can. So that's another benefit. And finally, reciprocal peer reviews can help you build and maintain relationships from faculty within your department. There are also benefits of giving and receiving feedback or completing peer reviews from departments that are outside of your home department. As we have mentioned, we are often in silos, functioning in silos when we're teaching, right? Having an interdisciplinary connection or someone that you can go to for a different perspective can be valuable. One of the unexpected benefits that we found in engaging in this process was that we got to talk about teaching with folks that we would have never connected with. So it helped us to break down silos and build community within our college. Recognizing that we are part of a college that's dedicated to both public health and a variety of health professions is also another benefit. There are many opportunities for cross-collaboration between departments, which is really unique to our college.
Yeah. Also, to learn what's going on in our college, the more people you know, the more inside information you have and what's going on in other departments. Maybe there are ways you can get involved and collaborate. Opportunities to develop relationships with faculty we likely would not have met outside our typical work responsibilities. Opportunities for collaborative teaching. So for example, Dr. Piazza connected me with a guest speaker and she gave a lecture in my course. And then opportunities for collaboration in our research. So for example, I happened to observe Laurie's undergrad language disorders course on a day she discussed reading and writing disorders. We realized that our work and research interests overlapped a lot more than we thought, because literacy is a component of the social determinants of health. And so moving forward, I would like to consider involving speech-language pathologists in public health interventions to promote literacy skills, and we're hoping to collaborate on a manuscript on this topic. And the benefits really extend beyond teaching and work collaboration to our personal lives, so being able to connect with faculty on a more personal level, especially for those newer to Gainesville, these reviews can be helpful in forming new connections. And so now we want to move on to talk about how reciprocal peer reviews can inform our teaching, but take it to the next level so we can continuously grow as instructors. So we already know that teaching requires skill and practice. As instructors, we bring our experiences as students, professionals, and researchers into our classrooms, and we use our student course evaluations to make improvements to our courses. And so we can add another layer by seeking and providing these reviews or windows into the experiences and skills of others on the same journey who care about students and the craft of teaching. So for example, I observed Dr. Galloway's class and her use of role play to help her students think about how to respond to conflicts they will face as future occupational therapists. She inspired me to create a similar activity in my course where I built in conflicts from my own work background to help my students practice responses using role play. And we can also find ways to collaborate with each other after a review. So for example, I shadowed Dr. Gayazori's critical issues course, and I was able to collaborate with her on an educational scholarship manuscript related to her course.
All right, you can also do a reciprocal peer review when you begin teaching a new course, just to get extra ideas and feedback. You should consider doing a peer review or reciprocal peer review when you've been teaching a class for a long time, just to get some inspiration for change. You might get some ideas that are outside the box. You also want to consider doing a peer review yearly instead of just when promotion is coming up. And you can also consider doing peer reviews not just for your campus classes, but also your online classes. I reviewed Lindsey's online class, and I got some great ideas we all need for engaging with my students throughout the semester, having them engage with me and with each other. So that was a nice benefit. The benefits of peer reviews for teaching are limitless, and they really are the easiest and most obvious ways that we can keep our classes engaging and current. So how do we make the most of peer reviews? Obviously, it has to do with providing constructive feedback. So I'm going to go over some suggestions. I'm sure a lot of you are pretty familiar with this. So when you're providing feedback, you want to make sure that you are specific and that you are focusing on behavior. So instead of saying something like, you should communicate your expectations a little bit better, you might try saying something like, well, you changed the date of that assignment, which kind of confused the students. In your feedback, you also want to make sure that you highlight what's working, not only what's not working in the class. So instead of saying something like, your students seem disengaged, you might try saying something like, the students really enjoyed that activity, but it seemed to go off target. Maybe providing more guidance might help. You also want to make sure when you're providing feedback that you invite dialogue. So you want to make sure that you ask, what did you think about the course?
And here's some suggestions for receiving constructive feedback. So pause before responding. Your first response may come off as defensive, so take a breath before replying. Listen for what's useful. You don't have to agree with everything that they say to benefit from something. Think, what can I learn from this? Ask clarifying questions like, can you give me an example? And reflect before making changes, because not all feedback requires immediate change. You could ask yourself, is this consistent with other feedback I received? So as a personal example of receiving feedback constructively, early in my teaching career, I had received pretty negative feedback from a master's student who was in one of my courses. I reflected, and it allowed me to think about the course kind of with a different lens. And so I met with the student, and I asked her if she'd be interested in helping me redesign the course. And she ended up working with me over the next semester to substantially update my course. She later emailed me and said that instead of being defensive or apathetic, that I was willing to listen to her concerns and make adjustments, which she said is rare, and she thanked me for caring. So.
All right, so we'd like to end this presentation with some things to think about and a call to action. So for instructors in the audience, we'd like for you to reach out to faculty that are inside and outside of your department and try to find a way to make a connection through reciprocal peer review. You may think you have nothing in common, but you may be surprised. And if you're asked to do a peer review, make sure that you try to get it reciprocal and ask to review that other individual's course as well. For students and staff, peer reviews are useful beyond just teaching, right? They are helpful to, for growth in your personal lives and in your work, in your field, and they also can help you create a space for lifelong learning. So they're very beneficial. We know that through this process, reciprocal peer reviews can have a positive effect and build a sense of community within our college. The end result is a richer work experience through connections with other faculty and with our students. So today we'd like to invite you to take a step into someone else's classroom, listen, observe, and bring that new insight back into your classroom.
Yes, and we would like to thank Truly Hardiman and Jill Peace for their input with this presentation, and thank you everyone for listening.